Hey everyone, my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and you liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, give the video a thumbs up. I'm hoping this video will be okay. I, on a whim yesterday, because quarantine is getting to me, even though I'm back at work at least, decided to literally rearrange my whole house. So my bedroom is now like my library reading room, and I've just never filmed in here before, I don't think. So I don't know what this sounds like, what it's gonna look like, because there's a different window to deal with. But anyways, June. Let's talk about the reading month. It was kind of a mixed bag, in not just what I read, but how I felt like reading. So it definitely, I slowed down my reading quite a bit, but it did get a little bit better towards the end of the month. So, let's talk about the books that I read this month, and then any spotlight highlights, and then, oh, and actually I thought, instead of at the end of doing instead of doing lessons at the end, I thought I'd do kind of a mid-year check-in to see how I'm doing overall. So first off, I read Something to Talk About. It's weird filming like this. I also read Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. Court of Miracles, which I'm kind of mind-boggled, is still not in my hands. Canadian postage shipping is so delayed. It spent 2 weeks, no, I think it was 17 days or something like that, before it finally got checked in Canadian shipping after it left the UK. So it will eventually get to me. It shipped at the beginning of June and it's still not to me. I also tried A Secret History, which did not go as well as I was hoping. I ended up DNFing it. I did a reread of These Witches Don't Burn because we had Isabel Sterling in the group, in the TBR and Beyond group, and I wanted to refresh my memory. Forged in Fire and Stars by Andrea Robertson. I also read Scorched Dragons by Amy Kaufman. I also read Date Me Bryson Keller, which I ended up loving so much more than I was expecting. I also did a reread of Royal Bastards by Andrew Schwartz. This is the first book in the Royal Bastards trilogy. I also read Falling in Love Montage, another contemporary romance that I was not totally knowing what to expect, and ended up enjoying it far more than I thought I would. I also read Cursed, that book that has 3.1 rating on Goodreads, yet is somehow being made into a Netflix adaptation. And having read the book and then seen the trailer looks far more interesting than the book was to me. So I'm hopeful of the adaptation, which is not a stance I commonly take. I also picked up Novice Dragoneer just because it looked cool, and I don't know, I just found it by fluke when buying books from my libraries, and I read it. I finally picked up These Divided Shores by Sarah Rash. This is the wrap-up to the These Rebel Ways duology. And just because everyone was annoyed when this got released because it promised to be Gay Pirates, it's not Gay Pirates. We are actually getting Gay Pirates. There's a book that's supposed to come out in 2021. I will put the cover of it here because the name is escaping me. I just randomly, the cover just got revealed. It looks hella cool. I'm probably going to buy it because the colors of the cover are just very aesthetically pleasing to me. I also picked up Harley in the Sky, which I love that book. I love that book so much. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, which is one of the weirdest books I've read in a really long time. But I read it. I was kind of impulse thrown into picking it up after the whole publishing paid me. I was already interested in reading it, and then I saw how little N.K. Jemisin got paid, and it blew my mind because it's N.K. Jemisin. How do you not advance her more than that? I then did a reread of A Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. In case you only watch my TBR videos, I'm pretty sure I said in my last one that it was a duology. It is not. It's going to be at least a trilogy. Then I did a reread of City of Bastards, the second book, by Andrew Schwartz, the second book in the Royal Bastards trilogy. Then I picked up the newest book in the System Divine series, Between Burning Worlds, which I for some reason thought it was only a duology. Tis not. There's going to be at least one more book. It's on Goodreads. I can't remember the name of it. It's in my want to read shelf if you're super interested to go through and look. And yeah, Les Mis and the Lunar Chronicles. Vicious by, I don't know if she wrote this under V.E. Schwab or Victoria Schwab, but you know what I'm talking. Lumberjanies. I read this as a graphic novel. I thought it was really cute. The illustrations especially were just, it reminded me of, I don't know if you had it in the States, but in Canada, I don't remember exactly what it's called. It was on television, was it Teletoon Network? But there's a survival camp. The illustrations of it reminded me a lot of it. I really should go back and rewatch it, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. I'll put the poster here if I can figure out what the heck it was called. It was a very Canadian, summer camp club thing, and there was it reminds me of kind of Jumanji a little bit. Then I picked up The Shadow Wand by Laurie Forrest. This is the third? I think so. Yeah, the third Black Witch, Iron Flower, and then this one, I think. Yeah. So I think this is the third book in the Black Witch series. It also, I think, came out last month as well. So, read it, loved it, ready for the next one. And then I read the conclusion of the Royal Bastards trilogy, War of the Bastards by Amy Schwartz. I still can't believe Disney Hyperion published a series called The Royal Bastards. And then I read This Coven Won't Break, which was the wrap-up to the These Witches Won't Burn duology by Isabel Sterling. I also did a reread for the 400th time of The Kiss Quote because I'm going through Helen Huang withdrawals apparently. I also picked up The Right Swipe. This was just kind of an impulse random thing that I saw was available to borrow and I needed, because I think it's an indie publication originally, and I needed to, on my TBR and Beyond annual year challenge, was to read either an indie or something else, and I went for an indie, and I read this. I finally picked up my arc of Forest of Souls by Lori M. Lee, and yeah. I read this. It was darker than the average YA, but I feel like plot and everything wise, it was like the average YA, so it was a little bit of a darker. If you like that darker kind of YA structure, I think this is a good one to go for. And I think the last book I read was A Sky Painted Gold by Laura Wood, which frickin' loved this book so much, though it was pitched as for fans of Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I don't quite see the connection other than it being a historical fiction, which is just a genre as a whole, but I did read it and loved it, and I have a physical copy requested on hold through my library so I can see what it looks like because it's not being stocked in stores in Canada. I want to see what it looks like before I buy it because I enjoyed it. I would like to buy it if it's really pretty. Yeah, so in the end, I read 26, I think, books total. It's not terrible. It's lower than, my ideal month of reading, but, I read that many books. So let's talk, I guess we'll go from least favorite to most favorite. I think for least favorite, I'd have to stick with Cursed. There are a couple books that kind of just either fell flat or in the middle of the pack for me, but I think Cursed, even with me going into it with my low expectations because of the Goodreads rating, and I read it before the trailers came out too, so I was like, it just didn't do anything at all for me, and I'm getting very frustrated that I haven't been able to really find a King Arthur retelling that I really enjoy. But I've seen the trailers. They've released, I think, the sneak preview and then the full extended trailer since I've read the book, and I actually am really excited for the adaptation of it. So maybe it's just one of those things that had to be published so that someone could pick it up and make it into a TV show, because I'm actually really excited to watch that when it comes out. When does it come out? Oh, I think it's gonna be soon, right? Isn't it it's July 9th or something? I think my most surprising book of the month was Date Me Bryson Keller. I just didn't... The books that it's compared to that I've seen in all the reviews are not books that I've ever read. And honestly, they were books that I was just like, well, I'm glad those exist for people who want certain reps. But I in general just am not a contemporary romance person, especially not a high school contemporary romance reader at this point. So I was concerned that I wouldn't really like it or be able to relate to it at all, but I really, really liked this book. This for a plethora of reasons, as well as the rep. But it's just kind of nice sometimes to have a main character who's he's that guy, that king at your school that everyone likes, and him not be a total dick. Right? I feel like we've just, that's so easily done and so commonly done now that even in fantasy realms, there's always that one person and you're like, oh, I know who you are. And you're kind of a dick, but I wish you could just be a nice person. So it's kind of like a breath of fresh air that the main character wasn't a total asshole, I guess. And I think when I took into account, especially of I went into, for my favorite book, I went into The Shadow Wand expecting to love it. I went into Between the Burning Worlds expecting to love it, though I was expecting Between the Burning Worlds to be a wrap-up and not a continuation. But I think I have to say my absolute favorite this month, just out of pure surprise too, was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I know I read the first book of the 5th season series. It was very high fantasy. I just haven't gotten back around to reading that series, but I did enjoy it. But I wasn't totally sure what the heck I was getting into it with The City We Became. And honestly, freaking loved this book so much. It's very American Gods-esque, but I feel even though this book came out, I think in 2019, it's very, very, it kind of foresaw everything that we have happening now. There's at one point in this scene, one of the main characters runs an art gallery, and essentially someone tries to use their corporation money to influence a community space, like an art gallery that needs more money, to make space in their exhibits to put in projects from essentially a white supremacist group, and then when they like, no, we're not going to do that, they try and go and dox all of the staff on like all these white supremacist websites, and I was like, wow, like, it's, if you like anything Neil Gaiman, I think this is one you're going to be interested in. Honestly, I think even if you watched the American Gods TV series, I think this is one you should at least take a peek at and see if it'll be to your vibe. It's very messed up. Highly recommend following along with the audiobook. There's like these weird like glitches in the book, and it's very well like translated into the audiobook. They do a fantastic job. Whoever did the production and effects of that, and just the whole concept as a whole was weird and wild and wacky. It was very refreshing. So if you feel like maybe you're in a rut and you keep reading the same sort of books over and over and over again, this is probably a really good one to substitute in. So in terms of checking in mid-year point, first off, the TBR and Beyond Reading Challenge, I am like 90% done. I think we have 32 prompts total, and I believe I have 26 of them done, and then I think I have 3 or 4 that I already have the books picked that I want to do to fill in those prompts. I think all of them are from the library, so I'm just on hold, and whenever they come, they come. And then I think there's only 1 or 2 left, and I'm like, I'm going to leave that and come back to it and see when I can, what I can figure out to do within there, because I don't want to force myself to read a book that I'm not interested in or don't already have, in my collection. Part of that is trying to get through the collection I already have at home. But I'm doing really far. I will absolutely be done that. If I really wanted to, I could probably finish it in the month of July, but I will absolutely be done that by the end of the year. And then kind of touching in with the other kind of reading goals that I had set up for myself this year. Goodreads, I have a goal of, I think it's 275. I'm at, as we're filming, I'm reading Things in Jars right now. I believe I just finished book 170, so I only have like 105 books left and like 6 months to do it, which I can definitely do it. Definitely do it, because there's going to be snow soon. Yeah, there's going to be snow soon, so I'll be hermit moding it again. And I think definitely in the glass half full perspective, I think having to stay at home an awful lot has really motivated me to keep reading. I also wanted to make sure I read the Caraval trilogy, which I have done. I read the last book and I reread the first 2 books and then read finale, and I'm very excited, and I'm hoping to pick up the deluxe anniversary edition that they're releasing of Caraval. It's like $50 in Canada, so I'm waiting for it to go on sale. I think it comes out in October, but it looks gorgeous, and I think we're supposed to be getting a new either full book or a new novella, which I'm very curious. I had a feeling that was just going to happen because they haven't announced any like new book series bought for her, which they would announce anything she wants to write now after how popular Caraval was. Anyone will basically buy it, but they hadn't announced it anywhere, and I was like, something's going on then. She's still in the Caraval world. There's no way that they haven't announced a new series then with how popular finale was. I also want to read the tomes by Deborah Schomburg. I haven't done that yet. I have it in my TBR like Excel spreadsheet to try and get in either September or October. I think I want to try and put it in September though. It seems like an October read, but September has so many freaking it's like a tsunami of just new releases. Everything got pushed from the summer to September, and then the regular September is normally busy too. So I'm gonna put it, I think, in September so that whenever I get September releases and like look at putting them on my October TBR, it'll all be done it already, hopefully. Read Les Mis. I haven't gotten to this quite yet. I finally did get my own physical owned copy of it though. I was waiting last year for my friend who had bought it for me to ship it. She just never ended up shipping it, so I had another friend buy it for me, and she did ship it to me. So I have it now. I'm thinking though that I want to try and read it all at once. So I'm gonna try and maybe that's another September one that I'll have to figure it out, but I do still plan on, I think I can still fit it in this year. Reading 1 arc a month. I have absolutely been doing that. I've been doing more than that, actually. I feel like I had a shelf in what was my living room of, arcs to get through, and I have really, really gotten through quite a good chunk of them. I'm really, really happy with that, and it hasn't been all that difficult to do that. I think for the most part, the arcs that I do have are relatively newish releases anyways, that people are always talking about. And yeah, I've been really good at that, actually. Read the first 3 Mistborn. I haven't started. I do have them pulled. They are on my shelf though, because I have them pulled of being like, if you don't read them this year, we know you're not going to get to them. So I have them pulled, and I think I am going to put book one, on my August, TBR. I also really want to try and get Brent Weeks' book that I have and really give that a go because it's a thicker one. It was also gifted to me a while ago, so I feel bad that I haven't gotten to it yet. And I've been more interested in reading the adult realm. Adult fantasy is something that I feel like is just a lot for me, so I'm kind of scared, but I do want to try it. And the last one I have on here was to read the City of Brass trilogy. I have book 3 pre-ordered. It still hasn't shipped. I ordered mine trade paperback, and they said it was supposed to ship. It was supposed to be the same release day as the hardcover. The rest of mine are just trade paperback. So I have book 1 and 2 in trade paperback. Book 3 has been released, it just still hasn't shipped. So, and I went to the bookstore and they actually did have a hard copy in our bookstore, so I'm confused. I don't know exactly what's happening. But I'm gonna give it till the end of the summer, hopefully when stock issues have hopefully been kind of figured out. And if not, then I'll go to the library for book 3 while I wait for whenever the trade paperback does come out. But that's something I can still very much do. I've gotten through quite a few series to finish those off, and now City of Brass is probably going to be up. I think I want to read that starting in the fall just because of the weather and the brass and everything like that, but still very much on the docket and still very much doable, just waiting for whatever happens to book 3, the copy I have pre-ordered. So that is the June wrap-up. Let me know in the comment section down below what you read this month, if you've read any of these. If you've read anything like This City We Became, let me know. I'd be curious to... It's very American Gods-esque. I can't think of anything that I've read like it before. I'd be curious to see if there are. It's just nice to find those weird books. And if you can find a couple of those to try out every once in a while, because right now I'm just read American Gods or read The City We Became. Those are your kind of weird options. So, I'd be interested to know if there's other books out there. And... yeah, I will link all of my social media in the description box down below. Stay at home if you can, wear a damn mask, and don't act like a Karen. Also, Black Lives Matter.